you feel like a kid on Christmas Day where you get all your gifts on, you get to unwrap them and see them on the court?
Something like that, yeah. Yeah, it was a lot of fun to be out there with these guys.
These guys talk about, competing, on the defensive end, competing with each other. A lot of talent on this roster. It's like iron sharpens iron. How good can these guys make each other just through these practices?
Well, really good. I mean, but it's necessary for those guys to push each other, for the coaches to push them, for them to challenge us on things that we all can do better, because iron does sharpen iron, and that's part of building the togetherness and chemistry that we have to build.
Brad mentioned the discussion that you two had coming into this practice alone. What was that like, and kind of what are you feeling from him? What are you expecting?
Yeah, just I want him to be comfortable. He's in a new environment. He's been a Washington Wizard his whole career, and that we're going to throw a lot at these guys, and we're going to really, really tax their legs in week one. So just give him a little expectation, for the first days of work, and then what tonight is going to look like also. But I was excited to see him in the Suns uniform.
When it comes to the defensive principles that you're looking to establish here in the first week with the identity you want the team to take on, what are some of those things you're really hammering on to the guys in this first week?
Yeah, well, obviously it starts with transition defense and finishing possessions. Get your defense back and get it set. But also, a really heavy emphasis on the boards. Physicality of boxing out. The 2-on-2 coverages that try to keep us out of rotations is a big point of emphasis, and that we're going to have a multiple layered defensive attack. Where we're going to have a lot of things in our bag to throw at opponents throughout the course of an 82-game season. That will help prepare us for the playoffs.
Is it a field thing for you when it comes to developing those layers as the season goes on? I'm guessing it's not the same point of the season every time for you.
Yeah, we add as we go. But what I really like is that we're not going to go into each game just doing things one way. We'll treat different players different ways throughout every one of the 82 games of the regular season, so that we're not having to try something new come playoff time. That we've done this all year, and we like I said, we sharpen all our tools come playoff time.
It's easy to say transition defense wise. People just talk about communication, but your teams have always excelled being able to get set like that. What are some of the things that you emphasize to try to lay that groundwork and make it less of an issue?
Communication and effort, really the biggest things. We are going to wind our guys up more than usual about being on the offensive boards, and we feel like we can do that without compromising what we do on our transition defense. But the effort and alertness is typically the biggest things in terms of getting back and getting set.
Having three big scorers as you do, have you had to change your philosophy, offensively speaking, considering the team that you have this year, considering the team you've had in the past?
Not really. It just looks better when you have those guys out there. Quite frankly, we want to keep it simple. We really want to highlight attacking before the defense is set. Obviously teams are going to try to throw bodies at those guys and be physical. And, if we can get them in the open court, playing with pace, but then in the half court playing with a lot of movement, rather than just, being stationary. I think especially with Nurk being here, those guys' ability to throw the ball to Nurk and then pass and cut off of him, with his passing ability, I think should really, really free those guys up.
You had mentioned chemistry is something that has to be achieved. It takes time. So first week of training camp, all these new faces, how do you kind of like to go about laying the groundwork for that?
I think they gotta. We really encourage communication, and the underrated piece of communication is a willingness to listen. We're going to challenge each other, but if we're going to be, defensive, every time somebody tries to correct you or put you in a place, then we're not going to get very far. So, it starts with that communication and willingness to listen, but also encouraging these guys that are really, some of these guys brand new to our team, to get to know each other as people every bit as much as they're getting to know them on the floor. They got to know their tendencies and where they like to get their shots and whatnot. But how's your? Tell me about your kids. Tell me about your mom and dad. You know what I mean? Let's get to know them on a personal level as well.
Speaking of those attacks into the legs, are there multiple? Does it come back tonight where there's multiple 2-a-day practices?
No, this will be the only one this week. Just just I had it in my heart to not fully bail on the two-a-day era, and let's push them just a little bit. But after today, we'll be at one-a-days.
You had mentioned tendencies. Is there any? I know you've coached against a lot of these guys already, but was there anything that has stood out to you so far in watching training camp or some of the pickup?
I mean, not stuff that I already know about these guys. We've studied these guys all summer, so not a whole lot of surprises. But it's great to see them all together. You know what I mean? And I don't just mean Kev, Book, and Brad, but Nurk being in there, guys like Grayson Allen, Eric Gordon getting in there competing, and then J.O. being a part with his, all the intangibles that he brings to the table. We got a lot of pieces,
A couple of questions about the pace and where Utah fits in for half-court penetration and kickouts, but also where do you see him besides being the three-point shooter that he is in terms of the pace?
Yeah, well, all of our guys, are going to have to execute the system, and he's a guy that, obviously the first thing you think about is he's going to be the three-point shooter that he brings, as those guys create and draw double teams, his ability to punish on the backside. But he's, really going to compete hard on the defensive side of the ball, execute all the, the winning fundamentals like sprinting back in transition, boxing out, off-ball spacing, all those types of things, are going to be important to him, and we expect him to be a big contributor for us.
Yeah, for Indiana, then LA, and now here, and first days, obviously, it's got those hypes for the first day of school feeling, but where does this rank among those, among three teams?
Right up there at the top. I think the Lakers thing was really cool for all those years going against LeBron. I had a great deal of excitement in having him on my team. Yeah, and but I'd say the same thing for these three guys here. Devin Booker knocked us out of the playoffs a couple years ago. KD's always been a nightmare, and Brad's always been a nightmare to go against. So to have those guys on my side, there's a great deal of excitement with that.
I think it heightens the Lakers-Suns rivalry with you being here now?
Nah, with the names that we got on those two rosters, Frank Vogel is about 12th on the list.
Is that the KD 16s you're rocking, Coach?
Yes, and I'm wearing them better than he is.
How has it been just building a relationship with him and Devin, and is it similar to the approach you took with LeBron and AD at all?
Yeah, it's similar, but it's those relationships are not too different than the relationship with Grayson Allen or Yuta or all the guys on your team. You want to get to know them as people. You want to see how you can help them in their career and what positions we can put them in, to help them reach another level of their success. But also, making sure that the environment around those guys is going to be held to a high standard. So I think there are similarities from that standpoint.
Can you assess the Western Conference right now? Would you say it's the most competitive it's been in, years?
Yeah, I think so. I really do. I think there's no really bad teams. I think, last year I really felt like there was 13 teams that could be, scary and make the top 8 and could be scary and pull off an upset. So there's a lot of contenders. And I think it's as deep as it's been, and since I can remember.
Coach, obviously you brought over almost a whole new staff here. How do you think that they've adjusted to the team, and how do you think the team has responded to that?
They're responding really well. I think the connectivity has been really good. The summer was huge for our staff, integrating with the players that we have. We spent a lot of time in this gym, away from this gym. Throughout the summer, just getting to know these guys as people, talking about the system we're going to put in place. And, most of the staff has been with me, in the past. And Kevin Young has been a great addition. His knowledge, his corporate knowledge of what they've done here the last few years has been invaluable in terms of us, making this transition.
All right, thank you, Frank.